And we're back.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
Hey, folks, welcome to the show. Welcome to the new year. Welcome to this windy day. Beautiful.
It was so scary last night. Oh my goodness. We had a lot of banging around. The wind was throwing our ladder on the ground and
It did more than that, my dear.
ruined a few umbrellas that were deployed.
Outdoor umbrellas do not last long in big winds.
No.
So we have our fun today. We might have power outages in town. You might have power outages and not be able to hear us today. But we're on because we're on batteries. So.
That's right.
And things are good.
If your phone's working, then your links are working, then you can hear us.
That's right. And Mrs. Future's there, her son, Sunny Bunny.
Yay!
And
2025.
Yeah.
Happy to be alive.
We had fun. We'll tell you a little bit about our New Year's in a minute. But first we bring in Bobby Wilder in San Francisco. Bobby, our science correspondent. Are you there?
Bobby, say something. No? What's happening, man? You were here a minute ago.
I know.
Now you're not. Okay, well, we see you. We definitely see you. Hi.
Well, you think about that for a minute while I talk about some of the hot stories for today.
Okay.
We would often do two things this time of year. We'd go to Macworlds. Macworlds, those of us that are into Mac computers would love that venue because it was where all the latest, greatest stuff about Macs was being done. It's usually in San Francisco. Now that's no longer here. Now we are completely devoid of anything in San Francisco at that time, but we do have a big festival going on in Las Vegas, Nevada, called the Consumer Electronics Show. That's been going on for years and years and years, and I'm sure you'll all hear about it on the news tonight, but we're going to have some of our favorite products. We're going to talk about that today, too. It's consumer electronics, new products, new ideas that are coming out, things that will hopefully be good for solving our problems and making this a better world.
Okay.
One can hope.
Oh, hope springs eternal, for sure.
So we have Bobby up now.
I don't know, Bobby.
Yeah, there he is.
There you
Can
are.
you hear me?
So,
Yeah.
yes, these Macs, you got to go into every app and make sure it's pointing to the right output device. So it was not pointed at the right place, or somehow it switched. Like we heard you, and then we didn't hear you. But we hear you now.
So, Bobby, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Happy New Year to
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Wow.
Yeah. How was your New Year?
It was great. I got to see this professor of neuroscience at Berkeley. He has his new laboratory in University of Florida. It's called the Riddle Laboratory, named after him.
Oh, so he is a riddle? He's
doing, yes.
Dr. Riddle.
Yeah. Justin Riddle is his name, professor. He has married his wife, who was also doing his postdoc at the same University of North Carolina.
I hope he married his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did marry his wife.
Good. Good. Is she into this too?
the-
She's a postdoc, so she's a bit of an academic as well, right?
Yes, both in neuroscience, and they got a job together at University of Florida. First, Justin got the job, and then they noticed that she was married to him, and she was just as qualified as he was, and so they gave her a position right there at the University of Florida. So they're both together working at the same laboratory.
That's cool. Yeah. Cool. They get the same pay?
Yes, they do. They're kind of equal. It's very interesting. Yeah.
That's
and
great.
she's brilliant, very smart. Her name's Molly.
So I assume you spent some time hanging out with him.
Yes, I did.
Nice.
And talked to a lot about everything, a lot about AI too, because they're also interested in how AI is adapted after neuroscience. And there's a professor, his name is Dr. Carl Friston in England, and he has been pioneering a new way of doing active inferencing and changing not only biology, but also AI, because it's a new way of getting information about the world and using very little energy to adapt to the world and seeing the world.
Are you talking about the local AI, where you have it on your phone rather than having to use these large language models?
Yes, it is, because The problem is with AI is you need these giant computers for training. For instance, that's what Elon Musk has got with his Colossus. So he's using all his
the massive
Tesla,
Memphis computer right across
yeah,
from Memphis.
massive computer, but
Uh-huh.
the massive amount of data is actually coming from the cameras on the cars. And so, in essence, Tesla is going to be not a car company, it's going to be an AI company because it's using video from all these millions of cameras that are on the cars.
Right,
and
right. To
and
make sure they don't have accidents and navigate
yes, and it
properly.
trains. And so, there's this, I don't know if you have any, you do have an article on Waymo and
Yes, yeah, and how that's evolving. Yeah, the Waymo,
yeah. And so they
opening
use
up
a
in new
different
cities.
method.
Yeah.
They use microwaves, they use radar, they use LiDAR.
LiDAR, right. Right. And
Yeah.
Teslas don't. They used to use cameras.
That's right. So there's a completely different method of actually to avoid
To avoid
collisions
accidents, right. Right.
Yeah.
And they're all collecting their data, no doubt. I would imagine that Waymo, being Google, has their network as well.
Yeah, they do. And I think in the long run, what's going to happen is I think visually is going to, the way that Tesla is going, I think this visual information is going to supersede. And
So you agree with their approach that you don't need LiDAR and radar and sonar to be able to navigate. You can just do fine with normal video cameras.
yes, the LiDAR people have been doing this for like 10 years. And, they run Waymo and things.
Right, right.
But Tesla's only been doing this for like 2 years. In other words, they've gotten their training with their visual network, and they are going to leapfrog. I mean, they're going to far surpass anything when they announce that they're going to do their RoboTaxis.
That Tesla taxi, which come out towards the end of this year.
Right. The problem is the cost. It costs $100,000 to set up one of these Waymo cars. So they take an existing car and then they put all those gadgets on top and spinning radar and LiDAR going around.
Yeah, and I understand they put them in Jaguars, so a lot of people like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of their cars were high-end cars, and people tended to gravitate in that direction. However, they are trying to get the costs down, and I think when they go mainstream, you're not going to have that option as much.
Yeah. So I don't know how many cars they have of Waymos in each city, but it's not that many. But there's so many more Teslas out there. And all they have to do is after they trained the machines with Colossus and do all the training, they can just drop these models right into your Tesla. And all of a sudden your Tesla could be autopilot. It could be a RoboTaxi too, if you wanted it to. It would learn everything that the Colossus has learned.
Yeah.
And it would be downloaded as just a model right into your Tesla. And so you can have auto driving. So probably next year, people could opt for auto driving.
Auto driving on their cars. And, well, it also could become more mainstream, too, instead of being a high-end addition to your Tesla now.
Yes. And you don't have to add another $100,000 worth of equipment on your car.
Right. It'll be normal. It'll be ubiquitous. But how long? I guess that's always the question. How long before ubiquity appears in this arena?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about the diversity of the agents and the applications, and I'm thinking that as these various automated AIs enter the scene, it's going to be analogous to different workers being hired, because every AI relies upon a set of models in order to make its choices and perform and everything. And every autonomous car is going to have to be optimized for its area where it's doing the driving. It's going to be having to be optimized for different times of day. And all of the various models are being updated constantly. And sometimes a particular problem is solved in one model, and then that model isn't utilized in the next iteration. And so it's going to be a very interesting evolution as these AIs become intelligent.
Fascinating evolution, indeed. It would be a large evolution because if you look at the basic stats, In 2023, Waymo picked up 20,000 passengers. In 2024, Waymo picked up close to 500,000 passengers
Wow.
in California alone. So from
And are
20,000
these
to
all
500,000.
autonomous cars? Or
These are all autonomous. Yeah, autonomous passengers.
There's no driver. It's
Yeah.
a headless driver.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So 500,000 rides, and that's that many people that felt like it was a safe option.
Yeah, and a lot of people prefer the autonomous car because you can go in, you can set the music for what you want, make your phone calls, you have total privacy. You just have the car driving you there. Total privacy, yeah. Everything in the tab could be recorded, of course, but it is your environment. You're in charge. You don't have to talk small talk to anybody.
There's nobody telling you not to smoke.
No, unless you want to talk small talk, and there are chatbots that will help you with that.
Do they let you smoke in those Waymos?
No. That was her joke.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a smoke joke.
Yeah, they said that tourists in San Francisco are ordering driverless taxis for their novelty and because of, as I mentioned, the high-end Jaguars.
Yeah.
Why
Style
wouldn't
and
you?
ride.
Uh-huh.
Right.
It's kind of funny. At night, about 3 blocks down the hill, 2 Waymos just sit there, and you can see on the Waymos they have these little spinning gyros.
Little
Yeah,
beanies.
Little
Little
robot.
car
You can
beanies.
tell they're robot cars.
Yeah, but they park right in front of a couple houses there, and every night they park. I would think that they would go to a garage at the end of the day. No, they park on this one block down the street.
No,
and
maybe
2
there's
of
a
them.
Yeah, maybe you have a Waymo developer living in your neighborhood.
Maybe there's a wireless charger there. You should go take a look.
You know, they're right on the street, and all their lights are off, except there's a little blinking red light on the back end. You can tell that the little radar thing is spinning and spinning. There's no lights on, and it just goes to sleep there, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Maybe in the middle of the night, they dug up the road, they put in a wireless charger, put the tarmac back on, the asphalt, and they're testing it out to see. It kind of makes sense. If in the future you would have parking spots, you pay the meter, and you'd also get a charge.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I thought they came
Yeah.
out of one big garage or something, but no, they're
They're
distributed.
just sitting there
across
on the street right nearby.
Yeah.
And there's no extension cords going to them or anything. They just sit there waiting. That's funny, Bobby. And you're up in the hills. You're not exactly.
Well, I
you know,
wonder
flat
what the
ground there.
ownership model is for those. Is it similar to Uber and Lyft where individuals own the car? Is there a depot, a central depot who owns a whole bunch of cars?
Well, they're selling them to Uber and Lyft. And Uber and Lyft
Oh,
are
that's
providing
right,
the
yeah.
facilities for charging and maintenance. of
So
the
that's a
vehicles.
fleet then.
They're fleet. Yeah, they're fleet cars.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Uber announced that more than 5 U.S. RoboTaxi partnerships in the last 5 months. Los Angeles, Dallas, Austin, Atlanta. It's spreading, but it takes an infrastructure. And they have to set up that infrastructure in every town. The maintenance, the charging, knowing the city, the software, the people, the locations that they need for doing all these things. They have to rent properties for that. And the way they're working it out is that Uber and Lyft will get a cut of the driverless taxi bookings. And the robotaxi companies get access to the ride-sharing giants' tens of millions of customers without having to advertise or build the technology needed to.
The Amazon of
Connect the cars.
automated driving.
Yeah, I mean,
Just connect the riders and the car.
originally, Uber and Lyft wanted to develop them themselves, but they realized this was not their main business. It was a lot of work to be able to build an autonomous car and maintain fleets of it.
Much easier to just start a ride-sharing billing system.
Yeah.
Call us and we'll send you a car.
Yeah.
We'll dispatch.
But will human-driven cabs go away anytime soon? I don't think so. It's going to be a combination of both for a while. It might take a decade before they start making a huge dent in this.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the autonomous cars and then you think about the big New Year's Eve Tesla disasters and put those in the same thought form.
Oh, that reminds
There's
me.
a long way to go.
That reminds me, the Tesla that blew up at the Trump Tower in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
As we all know, it was from the same company that rented the Ford Lightning, the F-150
Yeah.
Lightning.
Do you know
that was
the name
used
of it? Started with a T or something, right?
Tulo or
Tulo?
something.
Tulo?
Tulo. And
Yeah. Anyway.
What was interesting from the reports that I've heard about that was that it's not a company that owns these cars, that this is a service where, like, if you own a Tesla truck, you can give it to this service and they'll rent it out for you.
You're trying to make money on your Tesla truck, and some terrorist rents your truck and blows it up. What?
Yeah, I mean, how
What
do they
happens?
explain that? Oh, your Tesla was destroyed by some maniac who blew some bombs up in it. Yeah.
That was John Dvorak caught that little concern.
Yes, it's very funny. So what do they get compensated? Or they must have insurance for that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I've never done it. I've never put any of our vehicles on a ride share list for people to borrow and pay. Sounds a little risky.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they're not allowed to go to the airports. The airports are saved for the human drivers.
Yeah, well, that's the unions. The drivers' unions made sure.
We want the airports.
That's right. That's the bread and butter of the non-autonomous driver.
But how long will it stay that way? What's going to happen when the Tesla fleets come out at the end of the year?
You know, it's a big question mark in the future. There's so many ways that our current system is going to be revised.
I think they're just going to just download a module to your Tesla, and then you can decide if you want to have your car turn into a RoboTaxi automatically.
It would be nice if your car could make you some money, much like people are doing with renting out their spare rooms.
Or being a Lyft driver.
Or being a driver, right. You have the robot do the driving,
Yes.
and you get paid
While you're sleeping.
while you're sleeping.
Well,
while you're
most
having fun
cars,
somewhere.
I think the estimates over the years have been that most cars spend about 90% of their time parked and are only actually in use about 10% of the time.
Yeah,
And
that's why they
so-
say you only need 10% of the cars that are on the road when it's all taxis.
Yeah, and if each person who owns an autonomous car has primary access to it whenever they want it, then they can rent it out the rest of the time. It's sort of like having an employee, a robot employee who has a part-time job, and you get the proceeds from their part-time job.
That makes sense, yeah. Don't you think? People would say yes to that. You would, right?
Probably, yeah. As long as I could plan my own driving so that nobody could
And
tell
it
me
doesn't
no.
interfere with it. Well, if
Yeah.
you have two cars and you just have one that you've pimped out all the time.
Yeah, but scheduling isn't that hard, right? You have an app and you either are on this calendar or you're not. If you want it, you put yourself on the calendar.
Right. So it kind of makes sense that some of the future fleets would be cars that weren't part of the original fleet.
Sure.
They're privately owned. And that would be good that they had the latest software, as Bobby was talking about earlier, where they get the downloads.
Well, instead of you thinking of a car as something that you're constantly spending money on, you're thinking of a car as an investment. So
And
that
it's not
you're
a
making
car.
money on
And
it.
it's not really a car at that point either, right? It's part of this growing organism
Conveyance,
with thousands of eyes.
autonomous
Well, we're talking
conveyance.
millions
How's
of
that?
eyes.
Millions of eyes. And it's collecting data everywhere it sees all the time and sorting it and organizing it and making it into something useful to us, i.e. getting from point A to point B effortlessly.
Yeah.
Have you sat in any of these new Teslas where they have the screen and it actually, in real time, it has this black and white description of either a bus or a person walking across the street, or
Oh,
it's
yeah,
better
yeah.
than radar.
It keeps it
It's really-
entertaining, right?
It's amazing. It looks like these drones that can map out things and see where objects are
Yeah.
with radar and stuff.
Oh, so it creates a representation of the real-time objects
As
around
you're driving
you?
by,
As
yeah.
you're
Yes.
I'm going to put it on people analyzer mode.
And it can
Yeah,
detect
let's see
people
who's
better
walking down the
than
street.
Waymo does. Yeah,
Yeah.
with LiDAR.
Scan them, will you?
It can
Interesting.
detect dogs. It can
Dogs.
detect whether it's a semi-truck or a different truck. And when you don't even see it, but somehow it senses these things
Yeah.
from, I don't know, from other cars, or I don't know how.
Well,
No, I'm
I have
sure it's
noticed-
an AI. An AI just looks for a recognizable form and then tells you what it is and puts a representation on your screen.
Well, whenever I've been in a Tesla, the screen is always showing you the cars on both sides of you, and it looks like it does a reasonable representation of what kind of vehicle they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they morph into what they really are. When they're far away, it might detect that it's a smaller truck, and then when you get close to it, then it'll make the image of a semi-truck or something bigger or much more precise.
Right.
When it gets more data.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of the software that they're deploying at the borders, the Palantir software. And those AIs can tell you, is it a bird? Is it a dog? Is it a mole? Is it a human?
No.
Is it a truck?
Plane?
Right.
No. Superman.
Yeah. And
Superman,
they, they've
We're
got
in
an
trouble
object
now.
database of everything that moves. Butterfly,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So let's get a little bit into the CES stuff, shall we? But first, let's go for a little commercial break.
Oh, it's that time of day.
Yeah.
You betcha.
Time.
Dr. Duncan McCollum with some exciting news coming up on January 11th, Saturday. We're doing an amazing event, not only for Jacob's Heart, Kids with Cancer, where all your donations will go to Jacob's Heart on that day, but also to help you realize the best health you can have. We're doing a TRT special, our SoftWave machine stem cell extravaganza, where you can come in and get a TRT treatment exam, x-rays, consultation, including a next day report of finding for just $49. All proceeds will go to Jacob's Heart. And here's what my staff has to say about it.
Hey y'all, I'm Lena, front desk at McCollum Family Chiropractic, and I can't wait to see you all on January 11th.
We're excited to see you. I'm Crystal, and I will take your phone calls at 459-9990.
831-459-9990. See you then.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
I'm proud to have served this country. Helping veterans is something all Americans can participate in, and it's as simple as donating an old car that you have sitting around. Call the Veteran Card Donation Program right now. They'll come and pick your car up for free, and you'll get a tax deduction in the process. Call
800-640-9509. 800-640-9509. 800-640-9509.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Future Now Show with Alan Sun here and Bobby Wilder in San Francisco. We be in Boulder Creek up in the mountains. And this time of year, we're often at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. Son's hometown, I might add.
That's right. Where I was born, lived till I was in high school.
And we've seen so many cool gadgets over the years there. I remember first time I saw a fleet of dancing robots.
Oh, that was so
CES.
fun. It really made robots, even though they looked like they could be soldiers, it made them so cool. Dancing robots all in unison, following the same choreographed routine together. It was amazing.
Wow. How many robots?
Well, they were only about 1 foot high, and there
were
was
little robots.
about 6 of them, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
all
cool.
synchronized. And this was like 2006, I
Yeah.
think, when we videotaped that.
Yeah.
So the robots have been coming around for a while. We've even owned a few over the years.
Yeah, we were just counting this morning that
Many
we've
robots,
got 3 robots, just little demos. We had a Robo Dog when those first became available, and we have a little Robo iPhone holder where the iPhone is the face of your telecommunications, and the robot can be directed to different places. And yeah, we have that little guy, and of course we had the robot known as a Zumba, and Alan fixed it so that he could have his camera driving around on the Zumba.
Yeah, what was
Or is it a Roomba? Not a Zumba, a Roomba.
Zumba. What's a Zumba? It sounds like a dance move.
Yeah, your dance robot, the Roomba.
Yeah, that's it.
So Nvidia announced these $250 their Blackwell chips It looks like a developer board. It looks like a Raspberry Pi. It's about that size.
Uh-huh.
But it's capable of dropping in everything that's learned and dropping it into this so that it could be the brains of any of these robots.
Ooh.
You could attach it to something with wheels, or it could be trained remotely, and then you just drop in the module and it can do things for you. You know, like anything that you see any of these robots.
Yeah, super powerful brain for the robots.
Yeah,
component.
for $250. It's
wow, 250.
For a brain, yeah.
Sounds like we can all afford an upgrade.
Is that like? How many Raspberry Pis is that?
Yeah, it is like hundreds of times more powerful than a Raspberry Pi. It's incredible. You have this Blackwell chip in there. It's like you have a supercomputer for $250. That's what it is. Unbelievable.
How do you program it? Is it standard?
It will take all those models that you can get online from GitHub that are free. All these models, Llama 3 or whatever.
Llama 3, yeah.
You can just download it right onto this module or the supercomputer, and it will perform anything you want.
Wow.
Right now, it's designed to be sitting on your network, so it's like your NAS server. You know, it's just sitting on your network, and that's your supercomputer. But eventually, they'll be autonomous, and they'll be inside your robots. You know?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It will be the brain of your robot.
Okay, so I can get one of those, and then I just need a good robot body to go with it.
Yeah, something with wheels or something, you know.
Well,
something that works
you
in
know, some of the
space.
stuff from CES is they're designing these robots so that they have interchangeable parts, right? You put your brains in, and then you can decide whether it's going to have a function of being a chef or being a package delivery service or being a medical aid device. You just plug in the right parts.
Yeah, exactly. And so with this, you just have the brains, and then you just download the latest module, and it can learn a new language, or it can serve you dinner. It can do anything you want afterwards. So it's going to be crazy this next year.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get my robot. But I got to get the brain first or the robot first?
I think the brain first, and then just try different modules. So many people will be programming it to do so many different things. Like it could watch your stove and it tell you how to cook something, or if you put it on your Roomba, it could do a lot
Get
more.
me smarter. It
Yeah.
could get me a drink.
Yeah.
It could take the dog for a walk.
Yes, and it could be your secretary, and
take
you know,
notes.
it could plan out trips to travel any place in the world. And
That is true. It can be so many things. It's kind of like your phone can be so many things. It's not just a phone. That's just an app now. Yeah, it gave me an insight about humanoid robots just a couple days ago, as a matter of fact, where we've been thinking of them as having various personas or personalities. But the thing is that their personalities can be swapped as easily as just making a phone call to another person. And it's like, you know, calling a robot a particular personality is about as silly as thinking your phone is me when you call me, even though that box acts like me and talks like me. People from another century might think that that phone with a face on it is that person who's talking. But it isn't, right? So the fluidity of the robot is that it is like the phone in the sense that its identity can be swapped quickly and easily, and probably will, depending on the task that's being asked for it to do, you know?
Yeah, that's it.
Thought
They're
about
much more versatile than people.
Yeah. So even giving them a name seems almost simplistic.
they're going to be your best friend.
Friend, see? We're using analogies. You're right. It's like saying my phone is my best friend, though. You know, what about the idea that it could be a dozen different people, all of which are your best friends?
Yes, or you could call up famous people, or you could call up Einstein and ask him a question.
Right. Their personification, yeah. And it would seem like it's alive, and it would be answering in the context at which you understand. I've noticed that the Notebook LM has that interactive feature that's acting just like that now. You can try it out for yourself.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it does it in real time, where you can be, instead of them just doing their own thing, you can actually be part of the panel and talk with them in real time, which is the latest upgrade.
Yeah, that's right. I have it set up to be able
Yeah,
to
we have
demonstrate that.
We have a Larry and Mary piece today, and we'll interject some questions.
But first of all, I want to go over some of the stuff at CES.
Yeah.
Like the 2-second iPhone battery swap.
Mm-hmm.
Is that important to you to be able to swap your battery quickly? If it is, well, then there's a gadget for you. It's called Swip-it. Swip-it. It's a box that looks like a toaster. And you drop your phone in it, in its special Swip-it case, and after a few seconds, the machine swaps out the dead battery in the case with a fresh one that's charged and ready.
So those Samsung phones, the older ones, 10 years ago, you could swap out the battery.
Yeah,
But
you
the
don't
actual
swap.
battery, right,
you
right.
you can't swap an iPhone battery. I mean,
That's right, you
unless
can't.
it's built in. You
That's
can
right.
swap your extra charger
Yeah.
battery, your external, right?
Yeah.
But this
Right.
doesn't make too much sense.
No, it's the case. It's the case you can swap, and the case has a battery in it.
That makes more sense.
Oh, I have an old Samsung S4, and it had a battery on the back, like an external battery.
Yeah.
Yes, you could swap that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So the swappability factor is people
it
still
took
want
about
it.
a minute to swap it out, though.
A minute, yeah. Well, this is 2 seconds.
Wow.
This is a 2-second iPhone battery swap, or at least a battery case swap. It's not cheap though. It's like $700 for the hub and one
Holy
case.
cow. Wow.
I know, right? It's more as much as the phone. Yeah. Well, not
Yes.
quite, but it's,
Wow.
yeah. But if timing is important to you,
If they could do that with cars, then
Yeah.
they'd have something.
yeah, if you could swap out your battery on your car, that would be huge. Well, they do have a battery backup for your fridge. That was interesting. They have it on display there. The idea is that if you are in an area that has a lot of power failures and you get sick and tired of smelling spoiled food in your fridge, like boiled milk, for example, your fridge goes out, what are you going to do? How do you stop these sour moments from happening to you? Well, there's a company called BioLite, BioLite, and they have a backup battery for your fridge. Yeah, specifically for your fridge, or really any other appliances that needs constant power. So they're trying to sell you the idea that instead of getting a whole home battery backup system, that you can just tie an appliance to a battery. That
I think
needs
this could help a lot of people because the worst thing about losing power is that your refrigerator goes out and then your food gets ruined.
That's right. That's what they're aiming for.
So this is pretty smart thinking.
3 kilowatts of power, enough to run a standard fridge for a couple of days.
It says easy to install in 30 minutes, no contractors needed.
Well, here, just plug it in. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't this just a UPS? We've been
Well,
using these on our
yeah,
computers for a while already, right?
Well, UPS.
Sounds like UPS, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it is. It's kind of like a glorified UPS.
For your fridge.
Yeah, uninterrupted power supply for your fridge. In our case, we've used them for computers for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you use one now, though? Are you using one today, Bobby?
I have UPSs for my NAS server because it really complains if the power goes
If the
out.
power
But-
drops, yeah.
But then I just got these F3800s from Anchor. So I have actually 4 of them. So, but anyway, yes, I can back up my whole house for probably a day or two without energy.
Well, it's
and
not
then,
bad. Yeah, it's
and then I can hook it up to solar panels and I could continue on indefinitely as long as there's sunlight. Yeah. Without power, because it will automatically switch off the grid
Yeah,
and
yeah.
switch on batteries within 30 milliseconds. I don't know. It's a very short time. You don't even see it. You might see a flicker in the light bulb, but it's very rare. Yeah. It's very quick.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'm glad they're thinking that way. It's like decentralized power in a
Yes.
sense. It's another decentralization of uninterrupted power, and decentralization of power generally, with everyone being able to generate more of their own or store more of their own energy in their homes. Kind of makes sense. I mean, biology does that. The mitochondria are all doing that in all of our cells.
Storing power.
Yeah, storing power. Yeah, there's thousands of them in every cell. The little like AA batteries just charging away, keeping us bioactive.
There's also this idea where eventually the Teslas, if you have it hooked up to the right charger,
Yeah.
can do reverse charging. And so, because those Teslas, one Tesla is equal to like 5 power walls. There's so much energy in a car that it could run your house for almost a week. It's crazy how much energy.
That's great. You go down to the charger station, charge up my Tesla, and come home and run the house.
You could run the house for days.
For days. That's interesting, yeah, because I was not getting a Tesla because there's no way in which my solar system could charge the Tesla. It needs too much energy. I mean, it just does the house, and that's about it. But 5 times that? No. But you give me an idea. Now, if we had a Tesla, we could charge the house with that.
You could run the house on it. Yeah.
Charge it.
I mean, people were running their Priuses that way too.
Yeah.
So
it'd probably be cheaper than running the gas generator.
Yeah.
Good idea. We got power then. One of the things they've been trying for years with both television and movies are 3D movies. Like Avatar was probably the most famous recent one along those lines. And the movie and TV industries have just spent huge amounts of money trying to bring 3D to home TV. But when they brought out some 3D TVs, we had a few friends that bought them, not very many, I think.
Greg.
Richard, buying old ones.
Innovators.
From like 10, 15 years ago, there was a few models that came out, but it never caught on. So for some reason, it just didn't catch on. Maybe people were getting a little nauseous from it. It wasn't interesting enough to keep on. Or 3D movies never really caught on at home so far. But that doesn't stop the industry from trying. Samsung has come out with a new television that instead of simulating a scene in 3D, it actually extends a kind of a pixelated souffle at you. It pushes out like a bubble from the screen when something's got to get 3D.
So it's like a bubble lens?
Depending on the imagery.
So instead of looking into a fishbowl, it's actually popping out of the screen, you're saying?
Yeah, it's actually, the screen itself actually pushes out like rubber, like it's stretchable.
No, really?
This display actually extends itself. It's a rubber TV or membrane TV, depending on the imagery being played. It's a concept piece that they have on display at CES, Samsung booth. It's too early for us to really know if people are going to like it, but they're trying it out. It's unique. Warping the actual screen wasn't on most people's minds when they wanted to see 3D movies.
Sure.
Warp the screen.
Well, novelty is always just that.
Yeah.
People just want something new.
Yeah, 3D television that actually comes out, and that opens up to possibilities of touch screens, where it literally reaches out and touches you.
Mm.
It's maybe that technology might have some value in the evolution of transmitting the touch sense. It's a membrane, an interactive membrane for your screen.
Wow. They show an LG microwave of your stove, but it's actually a 27-inch screen. So I think that's a good place to put, instead of an iPad in your kitchen, you're kind of looking at your stove a lot. So I've seen something like this on a refrigerator. It's a 27-inch screen. So
it's a microwave concept for an intelligent cooking machine.
Yeah.
A 27-inch display. Right.
Yeah, from LG.
Some people think that's overkill, putting a big screen on your microwave. I mean, how often do you sit around? I mean, don't you just push the button and do something else for a while?
Maybe if you're cooking, you could watch your cooking show right there as you're cooking. Just look above the range.
It does seem like people are used to asking their phone for all kinds of things, and the older you are, the smaller the screen seems in terms of representing what it is you're asking for. So why not have more screens that have more space that you can have showing you something?
Yeah.
More screens with more space. Screens everywhere.
Yeah, screens everywhere that your phone can send a picture to.
It kind of makes sense if you're visually oriented, but what about people who are blind? What do they do? Suddenly you've got a visual world.
They don't care about screens. Screens are an impediment. They would much rather have voice control.
Yeah,
but
voice
we're not
control.
talking about that. We're talking about screens.
I know. No, we're going to max out on the screens. We're going to do that. We should max out on voice control too, just so that we don't have to remember what sequence to touch something in.
Sure.
When we can just say, turn it off, will you?
Well, I would say
put it on
that
for 27 seconds.
the AIs did come out with voice voice control in terms of the Alexa unit and the Siri and all those things are
Right.
voice control well ahead of any kind of screen control.
So audio was around before. Well, flat panels have been 20 years now. They've been pretty established. But more and more, and they're getting cheaper. And the cameras are getting cheaper, too. That's part of it. Matter of fact, we're looking at putting cameras on just about everything these days. As some people were asking with the latest Starship launch coming up soon, that there
Friday, maybe.
more cameras on it. And
Yeah,
even,
over 30 of them.
Yeah, and one of the things they're doing there is they're throwing out a bunch of dummy satellites to see how well the Starship can deploy Starlinks.
Right.
And people
They
are saying,
can open the pod bay door. Now, can they push the Starlinks out? That's the next big test.
yeah, instead of wasting real Starlinks, you got to have little mock-ups. But people want to put cameras on them now just to watch anyway.
Sure.
Because cameras are a dime a dozen.
Yeah. Well, and if it is successful, why waste? Why put trash out if you can put something that's slightly useful?
So a 27-inch screen for your microwave, yeah, would you buy it?
Price. It depends on the price.
Yeah, it depends on the price. You're right. Yeah. If they just throw in the screen for a couple of dollars more, I would buy it.
You do it, yeah. Yeah, because it makes it more useful.
It looks like Whirlpool has got some kind of a display that goes on your refrigerator. It looks like a flat screen on your refrigerator.
Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. That's
Yeah.
Very versatile. Just
Yeah.
a flat screen that can go anywhere.
Well, what's on your fridge anyway than a bunch of magnets?
Yes,
A
exactly.
magnetic screen.
Yeah, so just
Cool.
slap on a screen. This screen is not magnetic, though, that there's
you gotta-
they use giant suction cups on the back of the flat panel.
Ah,
Yeah, because refrigerators aren't necessarily
Yeah, so-
magnetic anymore.
No, so anything that can attach via suction cups,
Right.
that makes sense. And 27-inch screens are actually, they say they can suction cup up to 55-inch TVs.
wow.
55 inches. And if they have built-in batteries, no cables.
Oh, this one's battery powered. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, get batteries, no cables. But if you don't, you just have one cable.
'Cause I spend more time eating and being in the kitchen, and I spend a lot of time there in the kitchen.
So
Yeah.
the more the kitchen is useful to you, the better.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to figure out where I have room to put a screen, because the countertop's full of things. And
Oh,
so-
yeah.
Hang it on the fridge.
Yeah, hang it on the fridge. and
Get
see.
rid of some of those pictures of your kindergarten art and hang it on the fridge.
Perfect real estate, yes.
Well, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but what I like to do is have a little iPad holder, just leave it on the table, and when I come, I bring my iPad with me and just stick it on the table in front of me, and that's my screen when I'm at the table. Works great. It's right in front of me. It does what I want. I don't have to get up and over to the fridge to look at YouTube, or check the newspapers.
When did you ever have to do that?
I never
anyway?
had to do that. No. But if a TV was there, what would be useful? Maybe if it had an ongoing inventory of the stuff that was in the fridge, letting me know if something's going to be smelling soon.
A smart fridge that can smell your
Yes.
food for you, huh?
Yes,
That's right. Yes. I think they just need a smell sensor in the refrigerator to see if anything's going bad. Yes.
Yes, the locks will put you in everyday okay, but that old liverwurst has been there since October 1st. And today's the 25th of May. I think that's Alan Sherman's song along those lines. Yeah, so that would be useful. So some way in which the screen reflects its positioning. I'm fine with reading the news on my iPad. Some people are excited about the Meta glasses. They think the Meta glasses is in the right direction.
Yeah, they seem to be getting better reviews than the Apple Vision Pro. People like
Well, it's
glasses,
cheap.
glasses.
It's like $300-400, and you
Ray-Bans were a big hit.
Yeah, and you've got all these smart.
Ray-Ban.
Exactly, and they're planning to put more stuff in them all the time. It seems like that's the direction where ultimately the XR VR glasses will predominate when they get the tech now cheap enough,
Sorry,
small
I'm a little
enough.
early. Got it.
You always are
A
early,
minute.
Mrs.
Am I?
Future. You're
That's
just
why
a-
I'm Mrs. Future, right?
Yeah, right.
Get there ahead of schedule.
Yeah, so that we can all show up eventually. All right, well, we'll talk more about the Meta glasses and the robot vacuum that also does tidying, a robot that tidies for you.
That vacuum looks like it has a scoop on it.
Oh, I saw one with an arm.
Oh, well, attachments. Attachments really make the robot. Cool new gadgets for our home. And
Be right back. Yeah.
Okay, yes, we're good.
Marvelous.
Well, welcome back to the show.
Chaos ensues.
That was the Tech Check intro.
Happy New Year.
Reroute to
Off
B.
to a rocky start.
Yeah. Reset the
That
pin.
wind threw us for a loop.
Initiate the outbound host call. Check out their web RTC host connection.
No, that's not going to work.
No, okay, don't go there.
Don't go there. I'll explain later.
Okay. Anyway, we were...
Stick to the content.
That's my job. We're looking at a robot vacuum that can do the tidying for you.
That looks like it has a big scoop.
The scoop and attachments to your home robot, your home Roomba.
Roomba with a robot arm.
A robot arm that can deal with
Pick
tracking
up
dirt
those
on the
dust
floor.
balls. Giant dust balls.
Clumps of pet fur. Who deals with those things in your house? Well, robot vacuums, they were built to automatically whisk the stuff away, but if you drop a sock or a pair of underwear on the way to the laundry room, these vacuums, they don't pick them up, right? They just push them out of the way, or worse, get tangled in their wheels and choke on them.
Becomes an obstacle.
Stops everything and causes them to go in a circle for hours. No, they're not good. And so to have your robot the ability to pick up a pair of underwear that you dropped on the way to the laundry is important.
I don't know that I'm going to pay $100 for that.
For the attachment?
Yeah.
For the arm? Oh, it's easily worth $100 to be able to pick up stuff off your floor. Come on, it'd be great. Usually you need a human to rescue the robot. But if it had an arm to do those things, it could save you a lot of time. And how much is that worth to you?
Well, I guess we'll have to see.
Yes. With the Roborock Saros Z70, you'll be able to have a mechanical arm that can pick up debris and move it to designated areas out of the way. Good for cleaning. And what's interesting is that in the picture that they have of this device, they show you it having a cloth in its grip. So it could like scrub the dirt tracks that the kids made on the way into the house.
Yeah, I'm sure the people designing it are coming up with all kinds of use cases. So I'm sure there'll be things that we haven't thought of until the robot's here to show us what it can do.
Would you pay $100 for the arm, Bobby?
The kids in the kids' room where you have toys strung out everywhere and they don't pick up their underwear or whatever, this thing could pick up after them. Yeah.
Pick up after the kids. But what kind of training is that for the kids? Where the robots pick up after them.
That's right. Well, they're going to have their own nannies. You know.
I see. And get used to it. That's the future, right?
That's the future.
Everyone will have their own nanny and won't know how to pick up after themselves.
Yeah.
Lost art.
Yeah. Even I can see how that could be a cautionary tale. Man. All right, well, let's look at the smart glasses. The vision-centric wearables continues to evolve. At the one end were the expensive ones, like the Apple Vision Pro. At the others were these Ray-Bans we were talking about, the Meta Ray-Bans. Mm-hmm. In between, you're seeing a growing market. The vast middle, there are lots of entrees and lots of opportunities for trying out new things. Like, for example, there's the Halliday XR smart glasses, and they have a little screen that puts that screen into your field of view in your glasses. And you have a companion ring, which gives you some control over what you see without tapping the frames or of a phone or some other device. So you don't necessarily need to use your phone with your glasses. You can use your ring with your glasses for making choices.
We'll see if it takes off.
Yeah. That's called the Halliday XR smart glasses.
Wow. Yeah. Is the ring just motion sensing, and so when you move your hand it can
it's some kind of, I would say it has some kind of 3D matrix that it's picking up on, like a 3D mouse would do that. They have a little commercial here.
It may look like a regular pair of glasses, but I'm actually wearing smart glasses that can project a tiny display in the corner of my field of view. These are the Halliday smart glasses, and I'm checking them out at CES 2025. So these connect to your phone and they can display information just above your point of view. So for example, in my demo here at CES, I tried a translation demo where someone spoke to me in Mandarin and I was able to see the translation in English. And it was really simple. It worked relatively quickly, even though the Wi-Fi isn't great right here. But there are a bunch of other use cases that I haven't been able to try yet. And this does work with iPhone and Android, so it should be able to work with whatever phone you have. And again, I haven't tried it too much because there have been some technical issues, but I was impressed with how quickly the translation worked. So when you're looking at the display, it's a little circle shape right above here. Like, this is where it sits in my field of view. The text is green, so it isn't a color display. It's pretty big and clear and easy to see, so it's easy to read when you look up, but you do have to kind of adjust. There's a module inside the glasses that you can adjust to make sure it's in the right place for your field of view.
Okay, that gives you an idea. Those are the new smart glasses, the holiday smart glasses. That's a CNET review. It kind of makes sense they have a screen. That Google Glass tried to do that as well. They tried to have a little screen in the upper corner.
You had a Google Glass, didn't you?
Yeah, I still have it.
Does it display text on the screen?
Yeah, it displays a screen of information. I guess it would be easier if they could just display a web page, more generic, being able to surf the web with it. That would be ideal.
I guess the main thing, though, is that they've got these little projectors. Like when you were using Google Glass, did you like the way it projected onto the screen?
It was okay. I mostly use them for recording, audio, video.
Yeah.
But I think one of the killer apps for the Meta glasses seems to be the translation, also for the holiday, the translation capability of doing real time from Mandarin Chinese, I've seen that lady was saying, to English and back again. Now, if somebody spoke Mandarin and I could see a subtext underneath them as they were talking, I would understand that because I'm used to reading movies with subtext on. Subtitles, yeah. Exactly. That's normal. I mean, all of us do that. So to be able to talk to someone in another language and see it that way seems like a very natural interface.
How about a camera in the front of the lens or the glasses? And so when you walk down the street in a foreign country, you could read the signs and then display it in English in your glasses.
Why not? I've seen an app on the iPhone where it converts any sign in a foreign language into English.
Yeah.
Same shape, just English. So if it could do that, that makes sense. But to be able to communicate, to be able to ask where are the good places in town to visit, to find a bathroom even. You need to have some communication abilities. What would make sense to me would be to have some way in which you could speak your language and they would hear it in their language and they would respond and you'd see the subtext underneath them with your glasses on, something like that. So
I don't know. Maybe you're making me think the interface would be like a phone.
Yeah, you'd use your phone with your glasses.
You speak into the phone with your language, and then it would translate, and then they'd listen on their phone in their language, and then they'd speak, and then it would come back to you.
Yeah, the whole value of the phone would be mostly for having the speaker on it. So
universal
they could hear
connector.
It. Yeah, because they're not wearing glasses. They're not going to have their cool Meta glasses like you will.
Right.
Most likely. So your phone becomes that interface for creating a speaker. So if you could translate your language into their language, and then your glasses could listen to that language and translate it either into audio or visual for you. That kind of technology is pretty much here. Now it's just getting the right combination of things so it flows well. And people who travel a lot will be able to tell you that there's probably a number of YouTube movies about that whole idea and people trying it out. Now, but the more seamless and invisible it is to the visitor, you're the visitor to the locals, the better, I think, in terms of an interface.
Seems like in the future they'll have something like AirDrop or Bluetooth between people's phones, and then you could go up to somebody and then you make a handshake and you connect the phones together and it would translate to their native language to your native language too.
That's a cool idea. Sort of the way that the bump works now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or AirDrop or something like that.
Yeah, optimized for language translation. That would be awesome. The bump for language translation. That'd be great. The bump, I mean, how many times have you actually used it? The bump function.
Yeah, I use it sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, the key is you got to get if you want to share your address, you got to have that ready to go. And then it's easy. Then you just use it at a party. You want to exchange numbers, you bump.
You just have to remember to pull up the information that you want to share first and then bump.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, that's the big one. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what I have to do.
Useful.
Oh, I bumped it. Nothing happened. It made a funny color and sound, but it didn't do anything. Entertained me for a half a second. So, yeah, pull up the information first and then bump. We'll try it at your party, Bobby.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people I'm sure we're going to want to connect with.
Yeah. I want to connect with old friends. Yeah.
Okay, so we got something to do now at your party.
Bump.
Well, let's talk to her. Yeah, you do that at the end of a scintillating conversation. Right, you bump phones. Back at CES, Samsung says that they have their new robot called Ballie, B-A-L-L-I-E, which will roll out, so to speak. It's a round robot. It's not a humanoid. It's not a canister like the Roombas.
It looks like a bowling bag.
Looks like a bowling bag, yeah.
With a screen.
Everything's got a screen these days. It's been evolving. This is their home robot. They've been upgrading it for a couple of years now. It's set to hit the market later this year. They're trying to pitch it as a gadget that will act as your home assistant. It'll autonomously drive around your house. It knows your home really well, and it will accomplish what they say, various tasks. Now, what do they mean by various tasks?
They're still coming up with a feature list.
Robots have struggled to make headway beyond the vacuum in the home. There have been big projects, small projects of all kinds that just not worked for the home. The bottom line is that the robots have not had enough features to justify their high price tags.
Yep, that's my feeling about it. It's hard to justify.
Yeah, but it's a cute ball. It's kind of cute. It's kind of popular in Korea for what it's worth. We're a different question, but it's at CES right now. They're going to see what kind of reaction they get to their little bowling ball
Is
robot.
it the year of the robot yet? Last year, you would have to say was the year of AI, right?
You know what I like about this one is that it does have a projector in it, and that it projects images onto the floor in front of it. Mm-hmm. So it can communicate by projecting a screen.
So it's a little R2-D2 with Princess Leia communications capacity.
Yeah. Their advertisement is showing it entertaining a puppy.
There you go. Robots for your dog.
That is a good use for it, actually, where the robot actually trains your puppy.
Some of you approve of.
House sit it, or keep it entertained with teaching it mathematics and canine math.
Right.
How about with a laser? All it needs to do is have a red laser and get
pointer
your cat running around.
Oh, yeah. It can entertain the cats for hours. Why not? I mean, if it can do a whole projection screen, it could probably do a little. I would think that you could also, if you have a projector, you could just turn on a little one dot or a red dot, really focus and create a red dot that moves around without having to have a laser. You just a way of manipulating the screen, the LEDs in the screen.
If you could train your dog to do tricks, then people would buy it, I think.
Yeah, and also it would house break them. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Teach them to do tricks, teach them to behave, teach them not to bark. I've seen that's a big one. Teach them not to grab the neighbor's dog around the neck when it gets near its dog bowl. You teach them all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the canines could really benefit from our technology.
Well, they need our help.
Yeah, why should it just be for us?
We were taking care of a dog, and it was a puppy, and it would just go crazy when you turned on the vacuum cleaner. It just could not handle the vacuum cleaner noise for some reason.
What was it, a husky where it just go,
loud. I mean, think how sensitive their ears are.
Yeah. It was a shepherd.
Vacuums are super loud.
Very smart dog. But one time I took Leo to the beach, and the first time we took him to the beach, he was just so enamored by the ocean waves here in San Francisco. And he rolled over on his back, and his head was toward the Pacific Ocean on the beach. And it was like the ocean waves produce this, what is it, SDNSR? Or it's that sound where certain sounds put you in this ecstatic state.
Right. It's that super soft whoosh.
Was on his back, his legs up, and his ears were flopping on the sand. And he was in heaven. Yeah. Something about the ocean waves just entranced him.
Wow. Maybe he never experienced it before?
That was the first time he had experienced the ocean.
Brought back past life memories.
Yeah, I don't
Dog
know.
in past lives.
But he loves to go to the ocean. He loves jumping in the waves and running up and down the coast chasing the birds. That's what he loves to do.
Cool.
Does he bark at himself in the mirror?
I have a skylight in the kitchen, and at night you could see your reflection. So he would like bark at himself, in the
Yeah,
skylight.
that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
So then I'd have to take him in front of a mirror and show him, this is yourself, this is the mirror. But I don't think dogs can recognize themselves in mirrors.
No, I don't think so. I think that they're.
I think
one of those intelligence tests.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're saying that
They recognize themselves in television. They don't recognize themselves. They
Right.
recognize other dogs.
Yes, they do on TV, and they have dog TV shows, just for dogs.
Maybe they can be taught to recognize themselves.
They recognize that it's another dog, and that's what they do when they see themselves in the mirror. They recognize it's another dog. But if it's a chimpanzee, they recognize themselves, or if it's a dolphin in a mirror, they recognize that it's themselves.
Yeah. I've seen some interesting experiments with this, where you put a mirror out in the woods and let animals see themselves, a beautiful mirror with a camera catching their reaction shots. And some of the animals go crazy. They see, I think a bear saw a picture of himself. He got so mad he broke the mirror.
I imagine so, yeah.
But you're telling me that, what about chimpanzees? I mean, excuse me, they would recognize probably themselves, the chimps.
After a couple minutes, they recognize themselves. It's themselves.
They have a big brain, right? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about parakeets? I mean, they're tiny little pea brains and they recognize themselves. What's up with that?
I know parrots, certain kinds of parrots are very intelligent. They're smarter than dogs.
Is that a fact? With a very smaller brain, or is it more dense?
I think it's the way it's wired.
The way it's wired. So they would have self-reflective capacities. And I understand parakeets like to have mirrors in their cages.
I've never had a parakeet. I'm very curious about that. That's interesting. They can imitate sounds, and they know what sounds or what words that they're making. They know the meaning of those words.
Well, the whole thing with the animals and the glasses and the translate we're talking about, what if we had a zoological version of Google Translate where it's possible to decode the sounds of many creatures that we are sharing this planet
There's a lot of people working on that stuff, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Don't you have an article up on that?
Exactly. It's called a segue. We got an Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Interspecies Communication article.
Okay, we're all ears.
Yeah. It sounds a bit Dr. Doolittle-y, I admit, but that's exactly what lots of people want to do. They are attempting using AI and other advanced tech to make interspecies communication a reality. We've never had so much cheap sensors and advanced technology to listen to animals or watch them. And there are a number of biologgers, hydrophones, drones, all that are out there to help us analyze the information that these other creatures may be wanting to share with us. It's a good world for an animal behaviorist right now, because you would be able to really have a heyday in understanding what they are saying, mostly to each other. They mostly ignore us. You ever notice that? How most of nature is basically ignoring us? Yeah, bees go about their business.
Well, maybe they're not really ignoring us. They just want us to think that they're ignoring us so that we'll not pay attention to them, so that they can have a little more freedom, sneak something while we're not paying attention. That's
intelligently
how
ignoring us, I see.
Yeah.
Intentionally ignoring us.
Yeah.
Just so that we leave them alone.
Yeah.
Well, we should be able to test for that then, eh?
Yeah.
Well, there is a emeritus professor, a guy named Kon Slobodchikov.
What a name.
Slobodchikov. Mm-hmm. He created the Animal Language Institute.
Okay.
He's collecting information on animal communications. He got involved with doing some actual research with this in 2018 with a new organization called Zoolingua, which is a startup that working to develop an app specifically to allow us to translate dog body language and their vocalizations. Language of Dogs will be a new app. If that was 2018 when he started that, maybe it's available now, right? Zoolingua, Zoolingua. Yeah, if you want to talk to your dog now, maybe that's there.
Or just listen to its bark and realize, is it a bark of saying hello, or is it a bark of distress, or a bark that I want food?
Well, you've got a point there. Why should we totally depend on our gadgets to figure out what the dog is saying to us? Often,
most people just let their dog tell them.
Yeah, and most people have a rudimentary exchange of symbols. Is it always hungry? Oh, he wants to go for a walk, especially if he's carrying the leash in his mouth.
Yeah, now you're talking.
We have a piece about some of the research organizations doing work in this. The Animal Language Institute, Zoolingua. There's also the Earth Species Project, or ESP. It's a nonprofit, and that's dedicated for using AI for decoding other creatures as languaging. It includes scientists that are knowledgeable in neuroscience, in deep learning, in natural language processing. It's quite a team at Earth Species Project that are developing a roadmap to guide us towards a better connection with our fellow critters. It does bring up a lot of issues. I remember very often I was told to leave the animals alone, right?
Really?
Don't bug them.
What were you doing that people were telling you to leave them alone, Al?
I think it was in a zoo.
Who was telling you?
I was in a zoo.
The zookeeper?
Yeah, the zoo. Well, whoever was
Were
in
you
charge
like
there.
climbing in with the apes? What were you trying to do?
Trying to get their attention, in various ways. Depending on the creatures.
Were you like showing them a little light show or something?
Something, mirrors are good.
Mirrors. You would bring mirrors to the zoo.
There are many ways to play mirrors, from seeing their image to reflecting light in their eyes. Some things are not so good. It got me in trouble, yeah. And don't do that. Yeah.
How old were you? Was it last
year?
About
7.
Oh, okay. It wasn't recently,
last year, no. Actually, the ones that taught me the lesson the best were not so much the human overlords in the zoos, but more the animals themselves. They taught me to be good. Like, for example, there were some monkeys. It was in Miami, I believe. It was the monkey land, or monkey world.
Really? They've got a monkey world in Atlanta?
Snake world and a monkey world. No, it was in Miami.
Oh, in Miami.
Yeah. And,
the zoo.
Yeah, it's like a zoo. My brothers and I saw some monkeys, and as kids, we were pretending to be monkeys ourselves. You scratch your arms underneath, and right, exactly. Yeah, you're doing that. We're doing that to them, and they didn't seem to like it too much.
Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah, one of them got mad at us, and he hauled off and created a huge ball of spit in his mouth, and he spit it at us. And he hit all of us with it. Like, somehow that spitball split up in midair and became 3 spitballs and hit us, all of us.
So it's like a MERV missile, right?
And it was like a MERV missile approach that somehow these monkeys had mastered. I was very impressed.
Yeah, that's impressive. Hey, speaking of impressed, it's that time of day. We got to listen to a few words from the Santa Cruz community. Hang tight, people, and enjoy this.
I can't believe it. I'm so happy I can't sit down straight. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. These are just a few of the great expressions we hear every day from folks who use Knox Roofing. We strive for making our customers feel totally confident to know they can depend on Knox Roofing to protect your greatest investment, your home. We want you to respond to us by saying expressions like, "Holy smokes! That's great." Call Knox Roofing anytime at 831-461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you. with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Has the holiday bustle got you searching for a peaceful place to work? Look no further than Satellite Santa Cruz, your holiday hideaway. Reserve a desk, office, or conference room. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, parking, coffee, and snacks. Give us a call today at 831-531-2300. Mention Santa Cruz Voice and enjoy a free day pass on us. Your holiday haven awaits.
And
right.
welcome back, everybody.
Back. Yeah, we did get a comment from Greg.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks the best advantages of the autonomous cars is that you don't have to smell the driver. You don't have to smell the driver or their tobacco or their breath or their cologne. You don't have to deal with that. You just have to deal with the smell of tobacco and the upholstery. Hopefully not. You see, a lot of people would prefer to have their vehicles drive by themselves.
Sure.
Yeah. Why should you have to get out of bed or whatever just because you're a Lyft driver, Uber driver? Just have your car do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can have your car do it for it. Exactly. Greg also sent me a list of some of the innovation awards that just were won.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. Let's hear about that.
The CES Innovation Award for 2025 went
Hagamosphere.
to Hagamosphere, right. Hagamos sphere. It's a spherical drone. It has got 8 propellers mounted in a cubic frame and allows it to move both horizontally and vertically while maintaining balance. It's like that ball in Star Wars where they're trying to hit it with their eyes occluded when they first leave the planet, and it's like a Jedi training ball.
Right.
That you can move
Got your
horizontally and vertically.
blindfold
in front
on,
of
and
you,
you're using your lightsaber to hit the ball without looking.
That's what it reminds me of, just looking at it. They said it's also designed to rotate on the ground by housing itself inside this geometric sphere. It's got a sphere guard around it that protects the propellers so that the propellers aren't exposed. So they see that as being active in a lot of scenarios. And I can see that. If you have a drone like a ball that can bounce around, you could throw it into a building that's burning, and it can have sensors on board that can detect life forms that might be in the body, animals or people, for example. A sphere that can fly, a ball that can fly would be pretty cool. So that won the CES Innovation of the Year Award.
All right. So it's a flying ball.
That's a flying ball. Yeah. Right. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have the AquaSense. It's the best in sports. It's a new sense of diving. It's the Aqualung Group. They have a first electronic connected breathing assistant underwater concept, revolutionizing the scuba industry.
It sounds like a rebreather.
It kind of looks like a rebreather, but with apps. A rebreather with apps.
Wow.
It's the Pulsa Dive computer, the app.
So what does it tell you exactly? You use it while you're diving?
Well, it keeps you linked into your dive group and also people on the surface so that all your moments are shared and you're safer. It's an ecosystem that helps protect you when you're underwater. Yeah, communications. I don't know how the app works underwater. Maybe you don't. Anyway, it's called AquaSense from the Aqualung Group.
Okay.
In the medical universe, they have award goes to Cure Silk, Curesilk, by Medico Biotech. It's a wound care solution. It pairs innovative spider silk protein bandages with a diagnostic app. And they say that simply through a picture upload, the app analyzes wounds, recommends treatment plans, and then guides the bandage usage.
Wow.
So you expose
It turns out that silk is a very good bandage because your body doesn't reject it like plastic Band-Aids or things like that.
Because it's made of worm thread.
They say that spider silk protein is biocompatible, biodegradable, and promotes tissue regeneration.
Wow.
Enhances wound healing and improves access to care. I guess through a picture upload, you're able to properly treat a wound. Kind of cool.
Wow.
especially in low, underserved populations where people don't necessarily know about the best way to treat a wound.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. And then there's something for you, and this is future there, called Humming Blocks from Squarify. Humming Blocks is an innovative, music-driven platform accessible to all creators, including digitally marginalized people. That's not us.
Never heard of a digitally marginalized person. That's somebody who doesn't want to use a computer.
It's intentionally digitally marginalized. The groundbreaking system empowers users to combine music arrangement with coding concepts. Uniquely configured for the visually impaired, the 20 instrument and logic blocks are tactilely distinct so they can be assembled without visual input. By capturing these blocks with the app, users can easily translate their physical arrangements into digital code and music, creating an immersive and inclusive experience. A multi-sensory journey fusing creativity, coding, and music.
Seems like a kid's toy. It seems like a toy.
Humming Blocks.
Humming Blocks.
Music-based coding.
Do you remember when they came up with the something computer banana? Remember you could plug some wires into a banana peel and turn it into a musical instrument?
Yeah. That was not a CES innovation, though. That was that was more of a Burning Man tech.
Well, this kind of reminds me of it. It's that kind of toy tech. Make a sound with the toy.
Right. Also, innovation was a smart display for digital inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work and play smart display, one from Eckler Corporation.
Okay, wow, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, another low-income household, 22 to 24-inch display. You can turn it sideways, or it's like a giant phone, only a display.
22.
Or you can turn it sideways.
It's bigger than an iPad, isn't it?
It connects to your phone, and it turns your phone into a giant display that you can then hold in front of you.
So they were talking about screens again.
Yeah, screens.
Screens that make your phone better.
Or a big screen from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And you just carry it around and amplify that. Show people things. I mean, if your phone is part of your communications with somebody else, it kind of makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the Innovation Awards at CES this year.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. That's really...
You know what I find funny is TP-Link, they're shown up as one of the Innovation Awards for their mesh system. And the first thing, I think they're going to be banned in the U.S. here very shortly.
What is?
TP-Link, they make routers.
Okay.
And they have a backdoor to the Chinese government.
Oh.
And so all the cybersecurity people in the U.S. are saying that you have to get rid of your TP-Link router because they could open up malware into your network at home because they have a backdoor to China.
Big risk.
All right. So avoid TP-Link routers then.
Yeah, but it's funny that they have a CES Innovation Award. So that's really kind of funny. They have TP-Link Systems Incorporated, and they have the BE 11,000 Outdoor-Indoor Mesh Wi-Fi System 7.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, interesting.
It was nominated for one of the awards.
Okay. All right. Well.
They're going to be banned in the U.S. shortly, I'm sure. So it's kind of funny.
Man. Well, that's the other thing is that they're planning to ban not just TikTok, but DJI drones. Though I think that might shift with Trump coming into office.
Yeah. Do we believe in a free market or not?
Well, it seems like Trump is going to ban the TP-Link routers. I'm pretty sure he's going to do that too. But I don't know about TikTok. TikTok probably should be banned because you look at the elections in Romania or Georgia or whatever.
Some hanky-panky going on there. Pretty.
Well, yeah, what they do is they wait till the last minute and then they flood TikTok with images of somebody else running for president of that country. And all of a sudden, it just rises up and out of nowhere you get this pro-Russian dictator person that wins the election.
Well, they've worked on this kind of manipulation of media for many, many generations now. They've got some of it down.
They perfected it inside of TikTok.
So it's governmental manipulation. Well, meanwhile, it's okay if domestic corporations mess with our minds and such. So, it's an interesting issue that outsiders interfering with American elections. Remember, son, when we went to that conference years ago where it was the first time that the world was being hooked up John Graham was helping us, one of the first global conferences.
Yeah, the Harris
90s.
Poll. You talking about the Harris
and
Poll?
they
And Rick
asked-
Smolin was there,
Rick
I think.
Smolin, right. The day in the life of artist,
Right.
Photographer.
Yeah.
And they asked the question to the world, should foreigners be allowed to
participate
in
US
American elections?
Since we have such a disproportionate influence on people's lives.
They asked that question, and surprisingly, a very large number of the other, shall we say, the non-Americans of the world said yes, they should have a vote in the American system because, as Son just said, because of the influence that the United States has on the rest of the world. The rest of the world should have some influence on the United States if it's a democracy, right? Which it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be amenable to feedback from those that we affect, but maybe not the same level as a citizen, but maybe a way in which we do pay attention to global feedback. What would be a good system? That's a good question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
How should we, as a nation, entertain the thoughts of others?
Yeah, well, big question. Hard to answer.
We're not going to answer that in the final few minutes of today's show.
3 minutes here.
I think when AI gets to the point where you don't have judges anymore, it can decide what is best for the people. It will have more control than influences and can detect influences from external nations coming into our and I think we'll have to submit to a superior power, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Is where it's going to go, unless we program it not to do that. So, but it's going. So we have to be aware of that.
The prediction that you're making does not account for human nature and human history.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're just kind of projecting that we're creating this technological superpower, and therefore our human nature is going to become less free because of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a projection. I think a lot of people are mistakenly making that projection. And I think that the kind of lessons that we learn are universal, that the living universe always prefers a high level of freedom at the level of the individual, and that exists inside of an ecosystem of synergetic energies. The whole idea that we will have to make way for the computer to make all our decisions for us, I find that
abhorrent.
Not abhorrent, but just a projection. I find it to be something that abandons a love and a respect for our history and for our accomplishments. I feel like the price of our freedom is eternal vigilance, and to project with your intention or your belief that somehow your own personal future will not be as free as the past because of some mechanical creation, I think is abandoning human nature. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, but I think all these processes that we have, if you get a traffic ticket and if you have to go to court, and all these processes will all be automated where you don't have to show up to court. And
it's like in the Jetsons where they just pay this fine on the spot.
Yeah.
See the judge. The cop comes by, you see the judge on his screen, and he charges you the money, and you pay it, and you go about your business. Yeah, very efficient. Very efficient.
A lot of these processes that take lots of time and lots of people, they're going to be automated somehow, where it's very, and I think we're going to have a lot more leisure time in the future, and we will have the ability to learn things. And when it comes to elections, I guess our assistants are going to advise us how to vote or why I should vote for someone else and how it could personally benefit you as a person. What's the best way to vote? I just imagine that's how it's going to be. A lot of these politicians, I don't think we need politicians after a while because they're influenced by money. They're in the pockets of big corporations, a lot of them. I just hope in the future that all this coercion by corporations to influence politicians will be removed, and that we can communicate our desires directly, and something could decide what's the best thing for the most amount of people.
Well, I think, Bob, what you're saying is the direct representation rather than representative representation, where you are directly representing your interests without having to depend on a senator or a congressman who are overloaded, and there's no way that they can pay attention to what any one or a handful of people in their constituency can do. So the system already is very inefficient in its ability to reflect the sensibilities of who the senator is representing. How is he ever going to really get to know his constituency for real?
That's right. I think we have the technology to voice our opinions and what our needs are.
Right. And your representative could truly represent your avatar, can talk to his avatar. Your representation could actually get the information through, and it would actually count for something. So I totally agree with you there. But how do we get there from here?
AI could figure that out.
So can humans. Humans can figure it out. In fact,
humans should be part of the
thing
figuring out
that's
process.
missing from this whole conversation is the fact that everything that was created by people with the best possible effort and intention, creating what we're dealing with. So what we have is actually a result of who we have been, and what will be created in the future will serve who we will be. So we're always part of the equation. There's always a feedback loop that includes our unique creative contribution.
Yeah, as long as we exist, yes.
Yeah. Life loves life.
So how do you combine that in a way so that we all win?
You intend it. You think about it that way. You just, you exude
even though there's so much
joy
better
of life
than us
and
in
reason
so many
for
ways.
being, and a future that looks better than the past.
Yeah.
Right? All the American dreams. You get past this period of depression and you get into a period of wonderful appreciation and new creation.
Yeah, I know, but compared to how grand it all is, I feel like a cockroach appealing for my existence.
Well, that's resist, Al. You're so much more.
I know. I'm more than that.
Just remember, you get the wolf you feed.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got to feed the self that wants the beautiful future. You've got to participate from that place of knowing that you're important and appreciated and your efforts count.
Even though we are very small.
That's right. We're very small, but we're all in it together. Yes. So unified, we're bigger than the sum of the parts.
Teamwork is the dream work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, on
okay,
that
we're almost
note,
out. Okay,
our first show in the future is winding down here.
Okay,
our
yes.
first show in 2025.
And what do we got for next week? Well, the flat earthers have traveled to Antarctica to test out their theories. We'll give you some of their results.
It's a penny for your thoughts. All right.
Yeah,
well,
big trip.
On that note.
Thanks for being here, folks. Really appreciate your attention. And we'll have more fun next week, and we'll even have more interactive ways. And we had a whole demo to show you of Larry and Mary Interactive, but we'll save for next week from that too. So you can talk to these entities directly, and maybe they can help us figure out this future of democracy thing. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks, Bobby, for being there.
Yeah. Have a great future now, everybody.
Thanks, Sunny Betty. And see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.